Hello there and good afternoon. My name's Don Arleth and you're watching World News here on TVP World. Ukraine's Kherson Regional Military Administration announced that since early Friday morning, Russian forces have been shelling Kherson with aviation and artillery, killing 3. Ukrainian media also reported another incident that threatens nuclear safety in the country.
The day began in Kherson with a massive enemy airstrike, says the military administration. Reportedly, about 12 guided bombs were dropped on the city and its suburbs. After the aviation departed, Russian forces began shelling the city with artillery. As a result, 3 people were killed and 8 more wounded. Around 200 kilometers to the south, a drone was shot down and exploded near the South Ukrainian nuclear power plant, another incident that threatens nuclear safety. The power plant reported that a total of 22 drones were observed in the monitoring zone. The International Atomic Energy Agency emphasized that this came just 30 hours after the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, occupied by Russian troops, completely lost external power for the 10th time. Currently, this largest nuclear power plant in Europe is powered by emergency generators.
The European Commission proposed on Friday that Russia's frozen state assets be used to finance so-called reparations loan to Ukraine in the amount of 140 billion euros. This is the first proposal to use these funds.
The document states that the assets of the Russian central bank, frozen after Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, amount to 176 billion euros. They are held by the Euroclear clearinghouse in Belgium, which has so far remained critical of the idea of using these funds, partly due to possible Russian lawsuits. The EC proposes to redirect these funds from Euroclear to the EU. The EU would use them to finance a loan to Ukraine, which would only have to repay it if it received war reparations from Russia. So far, approval of such a decision would require unanimity of voting. The EU is, however, weighing changes to its sanctions extension process to prevent Hungary from vetoing Russia-related measures. The Commission reportedly proposes shifting from unanimity to a qualified majority when renewing sanctions packages. The solution is expected to be submitted to the Forum of Finance Ministers of the member states.
This week's airport disruptions in Denmark have now been deemed as hybrid attacks, according to the country's prime minister. Multiple NATO countries this week have experienced suspicious drone activity near their critical infrastructure.
Denmark saw drone activity near multiple airports.
Denmark has, in recent days, been subjected to hybrid attacks. Drones have been spotted in several places at critical infrastructure, military and civilian.
In Sweden, 2 drones were spotted overnight near Karlskrona, where the main Swedish Navy base is located. In Norway, the Oslo airport had to halt operations earlier this week due to unidentified drones showing up in the area. Denmark has raised alert levels, and Copenhagen is preparing for similar occurrences.
The authorities are in close contact with our allies with a view to quickly strengthening our own Danish capabilities to detect and combat drones.
NATO is working on a drone wall project that would cover the alliance's eastern flank, from Norway to Poland.
Wall of drones actually is like a swarm of drones that are used against drones. The idea is to have them close to the border, or just near the border, or on the border, and to actually use them against the potential air threats.
Poland is ready to act even before such a wall would be implemented.
When the military decides that there is a real threat to the lives and property of Poles, it has a constitutional obligation to protect the inviolability of Polish borders.
The investigations regarding the recent drone incidents on NATO territory are still ongoing, but some experts did not hesitate to put the blame on the Kremlin.
I think one thing is clear: these are not isolated incidents, and these are deliberate provocations on Russia's part.
On Monday, during the emergency UN Security Council meeting, Polish foreign minister sent a message to Moscow.
If another missile or aircraft enters our space without permission, deliberately or by mistake, and gets shot down and the wreckage falls on NATO territory, please don't come here to whine about it. You have been warned.
On Friday and Saturday, Latvia will host a NATO military committee conference, with the drone wall likely to top the agenda.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban said his country will continue purchasing Russian energy products. This follows repeated calls from EU leaders and the United States President Donald Trump to halt purchases of Russian oil and gas. In an interview for the Hungarian Public Radio, Viktor Orban said that cutting off energy sources transmitted from Russia would immediately cause a 4% drop in economic production in Hungary. He added that Hungary doesn't have to respect guidelines laid down by the U.S., prompting experts to believe that Orban would choose Russian oil over his relationship with Washington and President Donald Trump. Earlier this week, the American president suggested that he might talk to Orban about cutting off Russian energy supplies, but added on Thursday that Hungary and Slovakia cannot give up purchasing Russian oil, and he would like these countries not to be blamed for this. And in another development, a Hungarian reconnaissance drone was detected violating Ukrainian airspace overnight, the first such incident of this kind, according to President Zelensky. Hungary has not commented on the matter, which has yet to be clarified. Tensions in Moldova are rising ahead of the upcoming parliamentary elections. The Kremlin is reportedly laying the groundwork for mass protests against Moldova's pro-European president, Maia Sandu. Meanwhile, the president revealed that there have been attempts to transport drone components to Transnistria, a pro-Russian breakaway region of the country.
President Maia Sandu said that Moldova faced attempts to smuggle drone manufacturing components into Transnistria. According to Sandu, they've been hampered, but the revelation leaves many unanswered questions.
The question is, would a government controlled by Moscow stop these actions? Who could guarantee that they would have the courage to tell Moscow, no, we will not allow these drones to be built in Transnistria? And if drones are manufactured there, what happens to them? Recently, drones launched from Belarusian territory reached Poland. Why wouldn't Russia use Moldova for the same purpose?
The news comes ahead of the parliamentary vote which could determine Moldova's bid to join the European Union, amid what officials describe as a Russian effort to influence voters and undermine the country's EU accession plan.
It's not the first time that Russia is employing textbook manipulation and disinformation tactics, but they're resorting to much more.
Authorities have arrested dozens of suspected pro-Kremlin operatives accused of plotting unrest and spreading disinformation ahead of the election. Institute for the Study of War reports the country could be facing Euromaidan-style turmoil following the elections. Wedged between Ukraine, currently fighting off a Russian invasion, and EU member Romania, Moldova has long been torn over the choice between forging closer ties with Brussels or maintaining Soviet-era relations with Moscow. Polling data suggests that Sandu's Party of Action and Solidarity, currently holding a majority in parliament, may lose its dominant position. No other party is expected to secure a clear majority, leaving the outcome of the elections uncertain.
U.S. President Donald Trump suggested that his administration is close to reaching a deal on a ceasefire and hostage release between Gaza and Israel. He did not, however, reveal any of the details. The statement comes after the U.S. unveiled a 21-point Middle East peace plan aimed at ending the nearly 2-year-long war during the UN summit this week.
And it's looking like we have a deal on Gaza. And we'll let you know. Mr. President. I think it's a deal that will get the hostages back. It's going to be a deal that will end the war. It's going to be a deal it's going to be peace. I think we have a deal. That'll be number 8, Peter, not 10.
And that concludes this edition of World News. Thanks for joining us, and stay with us for more here on TVP World.